Good morning, everybody. It is Driven Fitness Erica here. You're friendly, you're friendly, if I can speak properly, and fabulous personal trainer and online health and fitness expert. How are you? I need to close my door. Welcome to my weekly live session. Good morning. So I was not here last week. I did a little replay. I am here this week. I had horrible insomnia last night, which fits in well with what we're talking about today, which is the dangers of low-grade stress. And lack of sleep qualifies as one of those low-grade stressful situations. So today we're going to talk about why it's so important, what can happen, and what is so dangerous to your health about low-grade stress. I feel like being in a low-grade stressful state is how most of us live our lives these days. Like some stress is obvious, right? It's like you're in a car accident or you have a family member who's ill, gravely ill. You lose your job. Like those are very obvious stressful situations. You're robbed at gunpoint, that create all of these responses in the body to help you, fight or flee. That's what the purpose of these responses are, so that you can survive. The problem is, we've talked about this many times before in our coaching sessions, and that is that the body does not know how to differentiate between those really truly stressful life and death situations and like other kinds of stress that don't really, in the big scheme of things, matter, but still create that same response. What kind of stress am I talking about? The ones that we deal with on a daily basis now, sitting in long-term traffic commutes every day, feeling that constant state of being rushed or being overscheduled, financial issues. Maybe not like you're losing a job, but maybe you're just like struggling a little bit or trying to pay off debt or something that creates just a minimal amount of stress, but over a long period of time. Lack of sleep, not eating healthy. All of those things create stress that we can't always identify as being stressful. Like we can't pinpoint one thing, but the body knows, and it's creating the same response as if you were being chased by a lion. And that's the problem. Lots of things happen in response to stress and stressful situations. The one we're going to talk about today is cortisol release, because that's the one that, particularly for women over 40, is really important. So when you go through a stressful situation, cortisol is released into the system to do a whole bunch of things. And it has some pretty significant effects, including increasing the sugar in the bloodstream. So you can use it, right, to flee, except you're not really fleeing anything. But those sugar levels are permanently increased. The other thing that's important is that cortisol makes all what the body thinks are non-essential functions. It impedes them, slows them, alters them, so that your body can use all of its energy to flee and survive. Well, some of the things that the body thinks are non-essential are decreasing your immune system, decreasing your digestive processes, decreasing or altering your reproductive systems and any kind of growth system or growth process. So all of those that are actually really important to our everyday lives are changed, altered, impeded in some way because cortisol is flooding your body at all times during this low-grade stress. Hello, everybody. We're talking about long-term stress and what happens to the body. And again, we're not talking about stress that is super high, the obvious stressful parts of our lives, like losing a job, injuring yourself. We're talking about that low-grade, just under the surface stress that is there pretty much all the time for most of us these days. Other things that can happen, we talk about this a lot, is cortisol. Cortisol promotes belly fat storage, right? So not only, particularly if you're a woman over 40 and starting to deal with some of the hormonal changes of perimenopause and menopause, we talk about that a lot here, which starts to shift the body fat into the belly and waist area. Cortisol does that too. The other thing cortisol can really affect is your moods, your motivation. Your moods and your motivation. So if you're feeling moodiness, your motivation is down, that also can be that low grade stress that you're experiencing on a daily basis. So why is this a problem? Things that this low grade cortisol release can affect, it can cause anxiety, depression, digestive issues, headaches, more seriously heart disease, weight gain, and it can decrease mental function and concentration. No, Molly. Sorry, I gotta make sure the garage door is open. I don't want to run it out into the street. One second. Pause, please. Think about those problems for a second. Oh, no, hey. One second. While I take care of my child, my four-legged child. Okay. So if you're experiencing any of those things, do a little check. Are you experiencing low-grade stress on a daily basis? So that's the problem with this low-grade stress. Now, what's the solution? I always like to give a few action items. Good morning if you're just joining us, so that you can take what we talk about here and apply it to your life like today. My biggest issue with the way that we handle stress these days is that most importantly, we talk about how to handle it, right? How to deal with it. Meditation, yoga, time out in nature, which I agree, those things are all super important. But what we're not addressing, which is like our healthcare system in general these days, is we're not addressing the underlying symptoms, the causes, the root of that stress in the first place. Why are you so stressed out? That's what you need to fix. These are my top 4 things that I think are causing constant low-grade stress in our lives that we don't necessarily pay attention to. We think we can't change, but we can. And I don't want to hear any excuses about why people can't change these things, because you are in control of your life and you can change it. So number 1, lack of sleep. All right, we are not getting enough sleep. Most people need 8 hours plus. All the research has shown that even if you think you can perform under 8 hours, the cognitively changes in the brain, I should actually do a session on this, are proven. So at least 8 hours every night of good quality sleep. Number 2, lack of movement. We are not exercising and moving our bodies every day. Lack of I slept maybe 2 hours last night. I had insomnia, brain malfunction. Number 3, always being overscheduled, and actually 3 and 4 are kind of together. Always being overscheduled and always feeling like you're on, right? That is not giving your brain a chance to decompress and process what's happening in your life. So always being overscheduled, always going from one thing to the next. Kids are in 5,000 different sports. You have a million different things going on. You are working more than you should be, especially if you're working from home. All these things that cause this compacted schedule where you feel like you're rushing all the time. And then the last one is always feeling like you're on, and this includes too much time on social media and technology. So not, again, giving the brain and the body a chance to decompress and, more importantly, process what's happening to you in everyday life. So these are the top 4 things I think personally that I see and I feel even myself are the most common causes of this low-grade stress that we are feeling all the time. Lack of sleep, lack of movement, being overscheduled, and always on, including too much technology. So, action item, homework for the week is to sit down and identify what your low-grade stressors are. And then number 2, just pick one to focus on this week on how to correct it, reduce it, change it, and increase the improvements of your life. You know, I moved to a small town about a year ago now, and the pace of life is slow. People go 25 miles an hour. They are not in a hurry for the most part. The only people that are in a hurry are the people from California that are zooming up the highway, right? Everyone else is slow. And my whole entire life, for the most part, has also slowed down, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So that stressor, just being in a different environment, has made a big difference. Obviously, a lot of you are not going to move physically, but take that concept of slowing down, saying yes to less, putting less things in your life, less physical things, less material things, less social things, and more things that fill you up. All right, so that's your homework. After you figure out what your stressor is, if it's sleep, movement, technology. I have done Facebook Lives on all of those things, so you can go back and look here or on my YouTube channel, which is YouTube Driven Fitness Now, and they're titled on digital diets, lack of sleep, etc. So check it out, find out, determine which stressors are your stressors, and let's try to reduce those cortisol levels in your body on a daily basis. All right, it's all about reducing the cortisol levels. That's your goal. All right, go out and make it a great week, and I will see you guys here very soon. Bye.